A strong possibility. It's episode 319 of Canadian Patriot Podcast. This is John McDonald with Music and Truth Until Dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. It's 9 o'clock Canadian, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there, on or behind the line, in post, I will edit in your song.
We'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. The version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP. Become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1. Show you're not a communist and buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Home link and follow the link on the right.
This brings us to my favorite segment. It's called What Are We Drinking? It's where I ask everybody on the show what they're drinking. We'll go clockwise. We'll start with Gavin. Gavin, what are you drinking?
As per usual, a little Signal Hill and Diet Pepsi.
Solid whiskey.
It is.
Brian, what are you drinking?
Kind of double fisting at the moment. I got Coors Original, but I'm also hitting the Polish beer, the Lich.
Now, important question. If you could pick one, Coors Original or Coors Banquet?
Well, I'd have to go with the Banquet, obviously.
Ah, there you go. Good man. Brian gets to stay on the show.
Thank you.
I don't know. I think they taste different. I know the guy at the beer store keeps telling me that I'm insane, but like...
No. Coors Banquet is Coors Banquet, and Original is Original.
Why does one of you have to be right?
Bro.
Why can't you both be right? You taste different and you are also insane.
Wow. That is hurtful, but probably not wrong. Pierre, what are you drinking?
I'm trying out a new rye tonight. It's Canadian Centennial Rye Whiskey, Canadian, and some Pepsi. It's actually pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoy Centennial. I got a bottle kicking around here somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good.
Well, maybe I'm going to have to switch over to whiskey. It is that magical time of the year. The leggings stay, the Uggs come out, the flannel sweaters appear, and pumpkin beer is in stock.
Come on, Andrew.
Yeah, buddy. Shakespeare Brewing Pumpkin Brown Ale. It says it's a strong beer, it's half a liter, and it's 6%.
If I didn't like you so much, I'd have to take your man card.
I don't know if I would call 6% strong. It's stronger.
It meets the definition, but come on. Shakespeare Brewing making hilarious bottle labels and tasty beer for me.
That label is pretty
Andrew,
good.
you're drinking pumpkin spiced beer, bro. Come on.
I am not. It's pumpkin brown ale. It's made with pumpkins from the pumpkin farm across the street from the brewery.
Whatever, they're pumpkin spice.
Well, you make fun all you want. Uggs is comfy.
Yeah.
So get ready for about 6 weeks of me drinking pumpkin beer until we get into Christmas beer.
Oh, don't worry. I'll find some good stuff for you.
Oh, I think I've had every pumpkin beer in this province, and some of them are all right, and some of them are, god awful bad. Great Lakes Brewing, looking at you. The beer that you make is not good.
Yeah.
Even if it was pumpkin spice with your Uggs?
The pumpkin beer from Great Lakes. I don't think I've ever had good beer from Great Lakes Brewing, but their pumpkin beer is just awful.
Yeah, I don't think I know I've had their sort of generic beers, and while I don't think any of them were terrible, none of them have stood out in a good way either.
No. Patriot Challenge time. We're also asking everybody to do 5 things every day to be a better person. Exercise for 45 minutes, practice a skill for 10 minutes, read a book for 15 minutes, and drink 2 liters of pumpkin beer. This will complete one task to improve your life.
I'm I'm gonna fail that challenge all day, every day because of that pumpkin beer. I can't do pumpkin flavored, man.
Pumpkin, come on, it's so weird. I like it.
I've got something that might help you with that, Pierre. Middle of last week, so after the last week's show, but before this one, I was part of a hot wing eating contest, and I ate a Carolina Reaper wing. Have one of those, and you will drink anything that gets set down in front of you.
That's a valid statement. So funny enough, one of the company I work for, we got bought out by another giant company, and the head office, like that store where you go buy that like one chip and everything, Carolina Reaper, that's like 5 minutes from the head office we have down in the States. My boss went in there and brought it back. Yeah. And he he handed the chip to his buddy. And he's like, about 5 minutes later, he did one of these to his eye. He's like, I couldn't see straight for like a week.
Don't do those
things. Oh, I had to go walk it off. It was bad.
Yeah, but on the Patreon challenge, Andrew, I did do something to improve my life this week.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it was last week, but I passed the member safety course at Guelph Rod and Gun Club, and I'm a member now. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
On probation member, but still.
We'll get you a sign off whenever we see you out there.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. It was really awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited that you have that. This is 2 gun clubs you're a member of now.
Yes.
So you are rapidly growing in the number of gun clubs of which you are a member. A few more, and you will catch up to me.
Yeah, I know. I'm on my way.
Variety is the spice of life.
It is.
Can't even get into one.
But definitely taking the tour of the facilities there at Guelph. Like I've been to the club many times, but getting to see everything, like some of the other indoor ranges are pretty impressive. Like the precision range, it's like 100 yards, I believe, max. It was pretty impressive. I enjoyed that. And obviously the action ranges I'm pretty familiar with.
Don't forget the cowboy action range.
Yeah.
That's the hot ticket.
Apparently you need to get your chaps to get onto that range.
Yeah.
And pumpkin beer.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, no, even I don't go to that range.
But yeah, shout out to John and Andrew. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you got on. I'm glad you got through the safety course.
You feel safer now?
Probably terrible.
Yes, I do feel a lot safer.
Shooting those 30 rounds of 22 make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, those were some interesting guns.
Well, they were probably guns. I'll give you that part. I'm glad that you got yourself another range membership and an outdoor range and an action outdoor range. So now you get to do lots more fun stuff than just stand at a bench.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
No, that'd be good. I'm glad you got through the waiting list. It's hard in Southern Ontario. There's a fair number of ranges, but a lot of them, especially as you get closer to Toronto, are very packed.
Yeah, and I think maybe obviously, like you said, because of COVID, it was extra hard to get in. But you just be patient and wait, like everything else. And firearms, it's like hurry up and wait,
and then wait some more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking from experience with the Guelph Gun Club, I think at one point there was people on the waiting list that had been on the waiting list over 3 years.
Yeah.
Part of that was because of COVID.
Cleared a good chunk of that, fortunately.
Yeah, some of the backlog's been dealt with, but yeah, Southern Ontario, some gun clubs are certainly easier to get into than others.
Yeah.
But it seems like the closer you get to Toronto, the harder it is to get in somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not much different up where I am. There's 3 around the I guess I'll say 4, one out towards Prescott, and that one's 3-year waiting list. Another one is not taking people now because of COVID. Okay, range. The other one is a very, very good range, and that one is kind of like, we'll just send an email out saying we're taking 20 people, and the first 20 people that kind of sign up, like put the cash down, gets it.
Yeah.
And then the other one is just ridiculous. Like It's got a 300-yard range and a lot of ranges, but like the amount of money for it, and like you can only go shoot from like 12 to 4, like Wednesday to Friday, and like these weird hours, and like they want like almost $700. I'm like, man, if I pay $700 and I want to come here at like, 8:30 in the morning on like Monday to Sunday, for that price, I should be able to do that. But like the range isn't open on Mondays, it isn't open on Tuesdays, and like it's weird hours during the week, and then weekend. You can. I
hate clubs like that. There's one like that actually really close to me, and like there's multiple clubs that run out of the same facility, and they're all like.
Not talking about strip clubs, Gavin.
No.
There's a reason they're not open at 8:30 in the morning.
No, it's totally fine. They can do that. They just can't serve alcohol. But like, yeah, it's multiple clubs that all run out of the same facility, but it's like $600 for a membership for the year.
No,
but you can only shoot. Well, it's pistol only, and you can only shoot one day of the week because all of the clubs basically get 1 day a week.
Yeah.
So if Tuesday is your free night and it's cowboy action, you're getting your 6-shooter and your chaps.
Well, yeah, but like if you're part of the Tuesday night club, you can't shoot on Wednesday night unless you're also a member of the Wednesday night club for another $600 or something ridiculous.
Strippers sounds like a way better investment.
Yeah, absolutely. You would get a lot more out of that for $600 a year.
Yeah.
Well, let's listener feedback. We've got an email from Jeremy. Subject is, I'm back. Hey, guy. I hope the crew had a good Thanksgiving. First off, I want to say, Andrew, you sound like a politician at an ethics violation tribunal when the question, who is Rod, is asked. Ha ha, I get a good laugh when I hear a listener ask the same question because I know Andrew just slipped on his ballerina shoes. Also want to let Carmen know that I've gotten into pressure canning, purchased mine in Saskatoon, when I live in Edmonton, and having it delivered from a friend that's driving down. That's called dedication. Andrew should take notes and dedicate a whole episode to Rod. Anyways, what did I have to drink today? Capitalism, because I'm at work. So I want to thank Jeremy. I'm glad Jeremy is back. And for everyone asking, who is Carmen? That is directed to the other CPP. They have a panelist on there that's very into canning.
Which apparently
probably
is
other things too.
Getting banned on Facebook because it's too prepared.
Well, do you know someone that's too prepared? Would you like to report what do you call that? A domestic safety concern?
Yes. Absolutely.
Smart person?
Did you guys hear about the shake your phone reporting thing on Facebook?
No. Is that a thing?
I don't have
you
Facebook.
Shake your phone and it gets in.
Yeah,
I
have Facebook on your phone.
I don't have Facebook in general.
If you open up Facebook and then shake your phone and then just take a look at the notification you get. It's about reporting somebody. It's about reporting somebody. They were like,
that's ridiculous.
Check it out, because apparently people have been getting like blocked because people don't know. They'll have Facebook open on their phone and they put it in their pocket or whatever, and it's still open, and they move and it shakes.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then the notification comes up and it hits okay, and then it's been blocking people.
I don't know, ever since I got sucked.
But if anybody out there listening right now has Facebook on their phone, if you don't believe me, open it up and shake it and shake it and look at the notification.
If you haven't done one thing to better your life today, that's it. Just delete it off your phone.
Wow. Social media continuing to not make me upset that I'm not present on it.
Yeah.
On to the news.
Except for Instagram. Except for Instagram.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Okay, come on, take it easy.
Ragnarok Tactical is on Instagram.
Yeah.
I may or may not be.
Maybe, possibly.
On to the news.
I'll let you
the
know.
Subject of things that are missing. The government has been a month since we had an election, and we don't have a government.
Good.
Couple of well, yes.
No, let them sit, because if they can't sit, then they can't do anything to us. But I'm sure they're working on something.
It gets better. 5 more weeks from this week before they're back in Parliament.
Yes. Because they don't do fuck all
But-
anyway, so who cares?
If they see their shadow,
Yeah.
We'll have 6
5
more
more weeks
weeks
of-
of government freeness.
yeah.
It's been really
I-
quiet after the election. I kind of like it, but
I'm not upset about it.
yeah.
I'm not upset about it. I've been, I pulled a couple of stories on this. There's one on CTV, opinion piece from Don Martin. 24 post-election days and counting, the federal government still in limbo. Brian Lilly piece in the Toronto Sun. Trudeau avoids Parliament for 5 more weeks. And on the National Post, Liberals in no rush to get back to work, say opposition, 2-month gap between election and Parliament resuming. I think it's actually going to be a little bit more than 2 months when this is all said and done, but maybe I'm wrong.
Decent.
Yeah,
The only
not,
part the only part I hate about that is they still get fucking paid.
Yeah.
Well, of course they are.
But at least
Yeah, I know. That's
like they're not making things worse. Like
yeah.
I agree.
I mean,
if they're
don't get me
going to be
wrong.
there, like if you're going to work and get paid, or if you're going to get paid, you got to work. In this case, though, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, because their
Yeah.
work sucks.
Yeah, right? Like they
Their
haven't
work
taken anything. They
really
haven't fucked
sucks.
us. Like
Yeah.
whether you
I don't,
agree
I don't know
with
if you guys noticed, but their work sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
Trudeau just
Kind
needs
of
to go on a
is.
permanent surfing
Fuck
trip.
that guy.
Well, $600 million to have a very important, very urgent election. To have, what did we worked this out once before? There was 6 seats changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So effectively
Something like
nothing.
And
Yeah,
not
again,
all
great
for the
work.
same party.
Yeah.
Right? Like 6 seats changed, but it wasn't like
I mean,
6
because it
seats
was
for the liberals. Like it was 6 seats for the whole shebang. Like it's ridiculous.
It was super important to decide how we finish the fight against COVID. So important that they're taking like 2 months off after the election.
Well, and how long were they out of Parliament when the election dropped? The writ was like 3 weeks.
Something like that. It was whatever the shortest amount of time is.
Yeah, so it was, I think
Yeah, no,
it was like 20
28 days.
28
I
days.
think.
So
I
4
want to
weeks.
say 28. Yeah. I think it was 4 weeks. I think it was 28 days is the shortest you can.
Okay, so they got a month
half,
off to
and
get
that's
ready
all.
for the election.
Yeah.
We're 4 weeks from having had the election. We still don't have the cabinet announcements.
Well, as I said in our panelist chat earlier, if you don't have a cabinet, the ministers can't get, accused of a scandal.
Yeah.
True. Go do all the sketchy shit now. You're not in the cabinet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but I'm not unhappy about this. Like
No.
they're not currently being a sitting government is probably the best thing we could have right now, because they're not actively doing anything to make my life worse.
Yeah.
They're not doing
I mean-
anything to make it better.
I
but
mean, I know.
I'm
they're
okay
not
with
making
that.
it worse.
I know
In-
eventually one day it's all going to catch up and they'll figure something out to fuck us over. But
oh, I know they will,
as,
but
as
like,
of right now, it's nice to kind of see this delay
Yeah.
of
I'm-
activity.
I'm okay with getting some breathing room,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Maybe
It's nice
maybe
to go
they'll,
for a
they'll come
coffee
back
date.
to Parliament with
Yeah.
something else focused on. Like maybe they'll kind of
surfing.
forget about it for a little bit. Maybe they'll feel really good about their ban and they'll just be like, you know what, guys, we really fucking did a bit good. So
I
we're
don't
just
think that's going to
see how
happen.
that-
They're. I mean, we already know they're coming for our magazines and everything else next.
Let me dream.
But
It's nice to get taken out to coffee and not just go like straight for the ass rape. So I mean, I'm good with the
Yeah.
government
yeah,
round. Like it's just nice to like go for a
Whatever
coffee
we can
date.
do
Like
to put this off, because I mean, the gun stuff, obviously, that's important to all of us as firearms owners. But there's other things that they are
Yeah, there's a lot of things they
planning to
can go
do
after.
that I'm not.
Go after
I'm not really a
carbon.
big
Go
fan of.
after the oil fields. I don't care
well,
anymore.
the longer they take to implement universal basic income means that I get to keep a couple of extra pennies in my pocket for a little bit longer. And all of that stuff, right? Like we know it's all coming if they get their way.
The magazine thing is really fucking scary because if that happens, man, it's gonna like, what's the point of even like having matches anymore? It's like, what are we gonna shoot with 3-round magazines?
Yes.
Well, the problem is that
Yeah. So we're just gonna be like
single
we're not
feed.
fucking.
well, the problem with
Single
that is
feed.
that they're
What kind of
there's
setup are you gonna
no
have
way.
3-round magazines?
There's no way for them to do anything about the magazines that are already in the country, so they're going to have to grandfather those.
Yeah, but all the course,
Well,
all the gun clubs will conform to it right away. So if we want to go shoot,
No, but if they have to
gun club-
grandfather it, then those are going to be allowed.
Yeah, but they won't.
I
They won't
don't
even
think
grandfather.
grandfather.
They'll just go to the same stance they have with the 25 round mags for the 1022s.
yeah, just ban it right
Right?
away.
Like, yeah, they banned them. They didn't go take them, but they just
Yeah.
said technically you're not allowed to use them. So that's all they're gonna do, right? So I mean,
Well,
I
anyways,
don't know. I want
they're
to
not
see them
sitting
come
in
up with a
Parliament,
bunch.
so they can't do this.
I want to see them come up with a bunch of other stuff. Like I want to see all of the MPs being double vaccinated when they go back because that's a big thing that they're trying to get done, right? Because not all the
Well,
MPs are vaccinated.
And they should have their booster shots too. Actually,
Well,
I was
at
really-
least the ones from BC that are old AF.
you gotta
I
get.
was really hoping you were
You
gonna
gotta
say
get boosted,
tarred and
guys.
feathered.
Well, I mean, I'd accept tarred and feathered, but like, I want to see
That's
them have
actually the
100%
third booster
compliance
shot.
on this.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. I
yeah,
say
if you
tarred
can't
and
even
feathered.
make the government comply, how
Right,
do
well,
you
not even
expect
the
to
whole
make
government.
the-
If you
the
can't make
citizenry get?
338 elected federal representatives comply with the federal dictates, like, go, like,
yeah, yeah.
Go do the gobble gobble.
It was like a Hayuga.
yeah, like, if you can't get 338 elected politicians to do what the government is saying to do, like, good luck getting anybody else on board, man.
Yeah.
Well, we're all
Like,
people,
it's-
man. We all have different opinions.
Well, and I'm fully on board with everybody having their own opinion. I just, if you're going to be pushing this stuff on the proletariat, like I'd like to see the bourgeoisie here having their
Lead by
papers
example.
put online. Yeah, put your COVID papers on your website so that we can see that you're all double vaccinated, high res and digital for reasons.
As you know, they all work for us. We are their bosses, and they need to show us their vaccine papers.
Yes, I
See,
demand that
I-
by next Monday on my desk.
I don't see a problem with
that
this.
they work for us because their taxes pay for their salary
theory.
and everything.
Yeah.
In theory, right? Like, yeah, okay, at the end of the day. But I mean, if they shit the fucking bed on everything, do you think?
Oh, they're awful at it. And there's a bunch of other stuff they're going to try and do when they get back into government. $10 a day childcare for all the provinces that don't have it yet, which is
Hey, have you guys
what
heard
everybody
Everybody
except
Quebec.
Quebec.
somebody told me that apparently the liberals he said something about a 4-day work week.
That's the Ontario one.
Provincial liberals in Ontario. But don't worry, it's going to be 10 4-hour days. No, wait, the other way around. 4 10-hour
10-hour
days.
days. Yeah. So yeah, the same amount of work hours, but just put into 4 days instead of 5.
So I don't know if you know this, but if you're a salaried employee and you talk to your employer, you can already do that because they pay you based on a 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
How you do the 40 is generally discretionary.
Well,
Yeah.
would you do that? I mean, I've worked 10-hour days before, and I've had jobs where I've worked 10-hour days, so I think I can do it. But I don't mind like a 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I can handle
Problem
that.
is though, so if that's how you do this, what about service industry people that like
it doesn't
their
count.
business is, so what's the point then, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna
It
fuck everything up.
It counts for like real day-to-day workers.
It's gonna fuck everything up
Well,
though
but
for everybody
yeah,
else,
right.
because what's considered overtime and what isn't considered overtime, and how
Anybody
do these
that doesn't
people-
get tip, anybody that doesn't get mandatory tip, like myself, can get
Yeah.
4-hour 10 days. But if you get tipped, I'm sorry, waitresses. If
No,
you
but
get
not even
tipped,
that. So like there are
then
people
you're gonna
that
work
in,
fucking Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I don't want to hear it. And
no, there are people that work service jobs in the service
Can I get an
industry that
amen?
aren't waitresses or waiters or whatever, right?
I don't care.
How
They
do
get
those
tips.
people work? You know, and
Yeah.
people that supply them. I supply
Well,
people that are in
they'll
the
work
service
anyway.
industry.
They'll work
But that's
anyway.
the thing.
Like people
It's
that
not going to
can.
work.
Like it could in my industry, I totally could do it easily.
Yeah, but if you just ran your own company and you wanted to do the same thing you're doing now, and you just wanted to work 4 days, you could just.
But
do
you know
that.
what I would push for. Obviously, I'd push for 5 10-hour days. I'd want 50-hour work weeks. Like, what's the extra 2 hours a day every day? That's what
10 hours of
I mean, that
overtime
sounds a lot
you
like
have
my
to
day
pay.
job.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Pierre. Right. So
Yeah, but if you're the
I would
owner,
totally be like,
that's
hey
an
guys, we
extra
already
cost.
worked 4 days this week, 10 hours a day. Why don't we work Friday and get the overtime? And
I can see that. I guess in the subject of the Ontario election, I think today they did call the election. I don't know for sure if that happened.
Yeah, who knows?
I'll do some
I think-
interning.
I think that did happen today, but I'm not positive. I didn't do any prep on it because I thought I saw
didn't hear
something.
anything about
But
that.
I don't know. 410s. If you can do that, and you want to break your work week out that way. I don't mind.
What
I've
are your
worked-
work days, Andrew? Don't you work 10-hour days?
Theoretically, I work flex time for a 40-hour week, but I usually clock closer to 50 because of my job.
Yeah.
Because I'm dumb and overcommitted to delivering to my customer. But then I also have my business on the side that takes up the rest of my time. So,
Yeah. So
I
I mean,
always am working.
we already work
Yeah.
this hard anyway. Like I wouldn't mind.
Well, that's I could see this especially for knowledge workers. If you're not in a trade and you wanted to work at your computer 10 hours for 4 days instead of 8 hours for 5 days. Yeah, I could see that. There's lots of days where I've done that kind of, because it's not physically demanding work. It's mentally demanding, but like what isn't, right? I could see that for some things, or I could even see that for some trade type jobs, because there's lots of places where you do 10 or 12s and then you get off.
Yeah.
Right. So there's lots of industries that already do that. I don't see a problem with it, but I don't want the government involved in mandating this. It's between you and your employer.
Yeah. It's between you. Yeah, you and your employer. I used to do asphalt for a living. So if we had like a week where it rained like 4 days, like, yeah, it was balls to the wall and fucking like 14, 16-hour days, because you got to make up for those days. Because it was such it was a short period, right? Yeah, I worked like 40-degree weather, standing on asphalt beside an exhaust of the machine, for like 12 hours, dropping like 400 tons of asphalt at a school parking lot. And it's just like, yeah, it's just got to get done. Like,
yeah.
I've gone to work in the middle of summer before the sun came up, and got home after the sun came down, and like, same thing all week, I mean, the 4 days, 40 hours. I mean, it all depends on the industry. And
well, it depends. I mean, have you ever worked on a farm? Welcome to the fall in farming. Great. We're getting up before it's sunny out, and we're going to bed well after the sun is set. Because like
a few hours before the sun comes up, then you got to get back.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be a regulated industry where the government's going to say you got to do this.
No, that's just because if they don't do it,
we're talking about regulated industries, because obviously there's companies out there that work way more than that. And I personally worked for a company that we did 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we did it for 6 months straight on a contract that we had.
Yeah,
so
see that's a crazy workload.
Yeah. We didn't get any days off. We just worked like maniacs. But you know what? You made a lot of good money, and I was in really good shape. At the end of that.
Yeah, like there are ups and downs to both, right? Like, yeah, the money's good, all depending if it's a physically demanding job.
The other thing I thought about too was possibly, how there's a bit of a work shortage now. People can't seem to get workers. Maybe if you offered people a 4-day work week and 3 days off, even if it's 10 hours a day, maybe people might be more inclined to start working. Right.
Until the government stop handing out money, you're not going to get people that'll work 4 days instead of 5 days.
I don't know. I'm hoping. I was thinking like more on the positive side. That's saying like, people would be like, "Hey, 4-day work weeks. Maybe I'll go back to work."
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, but until
That's what I'm hoping, and
no
we'll get the
government handouts.
economy going back, and everything will be
Yeah.
hunky dory. I'm just trying to be positive. Hey, it's
I mean,
positive Mondays, guys. Positive
I
Mondays.
appreciate the positivity. I trust the Ontario Liberals as far as I can throw Doug Ford, which is to say not at all.
No.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to the government not going back to Parliament until the end of November, because then they're going to go on Christmas break and they ain't getting shit done. Should we talk about Rona? It's COVID time. We won't play the song though, because I'll get a takedown notice on YouTube.
Wait, what is it? What's happening? Never heard of this.
Oh, we played the It's Corona Time TikTok song once, and I got a copyright strike on YouTube. It's very upsetting.
What's with you and the like cease and desist is copyright?
It's just my personality. Some people don't appreciate my sense of humor and free use. Is that the...
Oh, yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what song you're talking about.
Just go ask a TikToker.
I could probably find it on my phone. If I found it on my phone and then played it through
Please
that,
don't.
No,
We've already gotten one this year. I don't need another
it's on
one
my
this year.
phone. It would be my.
That doesn't matter. It's on if it gets recorded. I guess if you go hold it off the side of your screen where we can't hear it, maybe.
Yeah. You need a TikToker. I'll ask my wife. I'll ask my wife.
No, we're good.
She's
Corona stuff though, because there's a bunch of Corona stuff in the news this week.
Yeah.
I found some embarrassing stories for, well, various news outlets. We'll start with the CBC. This is on the National Post. Error in judgment. CBC Edmonton regrets mannequin's use in COVID-19 news report.
What?
Regrets getting caught.
Yeah.
What was he using the mannequins for?
To show
They've got it hooked up. Yeah.
To show how
Hospitals are
overwhelmed the ICU is in Edmonton.
They were
have a
stuck
mannequin
in the
hooked up
ICU
to-
with mannequins?
Yes.
Well, they have
Get
a
the
picture.
fuck out of here.
I don't know about all of them, but there's the one picture where it's a mannequin hooked up to a defibrillator
Oh
in
my
its own
God.
room. Whole shebang. Right?
No.
And how many of everybody in there are
I don't think
mannequins?
that's a
I don't know.
defibrillator. I think that's one of those
No,
things
no,
that help
it's
you
totally
die.
is because it's
Respirator.
Was there
the
real
the
oxygen
COVID is
being
so
breathed into
dangerous.
it? So like no wonder
So
you're
dangerous
wasting
they got him hooked up
resources.
to.
So
Not a defibrillator,
in
but
October,
a ventilator.
ventilator.
Oh my
I think
God.
yes, that makes
Yeah.
more sense.
Yeah,
In
ventilator,
October,
not
the
defibrillator, my
CBC
bad.
ran a story saying that the Edmonton hospitals were overwhelmed, their ICUs were suffering because of all of the pandemic problems. And the picture
No.
that the CBC used was of a mannequin hooked up to a breathing apparatus.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the CBC is deeply sorry for having used this picture.
Is this in the show notes?
Deeply sorry for getting caught. Yes, this
I
is
did-
everything is in the show notes. All the stuff I talk about is in the show notes.
Yeah.
We have
So
show
don't
notes.
worry. The hospitals are all being overwhelmed, and here's a mannequin taking up an ICU bed.
What the fuck, man? What is happening?
Well,
Mannequin
Pravda
lives
is
matter
being
too.
Pravda and getting caught lying to us again.
That's the worst. Oh,
No. Unfortunately, and not to make light of anyone's suffering, the next story is probably the worst this evening.
okay. Lay it on me. I want to hear this.
Dr. Dina Hinshaw apologizes and says Alberta teen didn't actually die from COVID. This is also in the National Post. This is from last week. Dr. Hinshaw is the Chief Medical Officer of Health in Alberta. She's Alberta's top doctor. They released a story, and by they, I mean, again, the CBC, released a story, and it was Dr. Hinshaw having reported that a 14-year-old patient in Alberta had died due to COVID, and again, not trying to make light of the situation, because this is going to be super shitty for this kid's family. His family went to social media and went, but he also had cancer, which killed him.
Whoa. No,
Yeah.
it's the Rona that killed him.
But he was dying from
No.
cancer.
No, it's the Rona.
See, this
He
is
was
like
literally in the
this
hospital.
is why I can't
Yeah.
trust the numbers that you hear about like first of all, the ICU beds, and then second of all, the amount of deaths.
Well, don't worry. In Alberta, they're gonna fix this by not reporting deaths of anyone under the age of 18.
But I mean, like, if you're
They're just gonna not report it anymore.
If you're a healthy young person, chances are you can beat coronavirus, right? But if you have cancer, you're probably not gonna fucking survive if you get coronavirus.
So it wasn't even the fact that like they were like the 14-year-old has had I can't remember what kind of cancer. Like they were in the hospital due to, you know, complications and like unfortunately
stage 4 brain cancer. Like this is really shitty. Like,
and it was like, okay, like, you know, they're on their way out, they're in the hospital. And if I'm not mistaken, it was what, two days prior to him the person passing away, they ended up getting a positive test result for COVID. So they said, oh, well, he died of COVID. Right? It wasn't already that he was being hospitalized for brain
when did
cancer
this happen?
and complication. We're talking 2 weeks.
I believe the death took place on October the 12th.
So obviously somebody had coronavirus and contacted him in the hospital. Obviously, like.
Well, I don't. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
I suppose you could make that argument that that's what happened, but like he tested positive with COVID 2 days before he died. He was already in the hospital with stage 4 brain cancer. Like, and then for the Alberta government to come out and say that like this was a coronavirus death, and the family to be like, but the stage 4 brain cancer that he like that was the actual.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, of course
he was dying from cancer.
Right, and if the family wouldn't have went to social media and said anything, right, nobody would have blinked an eye, and everybody would have.
Well, and this is I've had this argument, complaint, I guess, before about this whole comorbidity thing, because the way that they track and post this information in basically every province, although it does vary from province to province, the way that this information gets posted is very, I think, intentionally obfuscated. It's very misleading information, right? Because like if you die and have a presumed or confirmed case of the COVID, it counts as a COVID mortality. It doesn't take into account, for example, like stage 4 brain cancer, where, again, super shitty, you're probably going to die anyway.
I don't even think they take into account the fact that somebody had COVID and got shot and died from getting shot.
I was just going to say that. Like, what if somebody came into the fucking emergency room and they had a bullet hole in them, but then they also tested positive for COVID?
See, it was probably COVID's fault that they got shot. So
it's because they weren't wearing a mask. That's why they got shot by somebody.
Yeah. And because they had it, right? Like, yes, it's still COVID. It all makes sense in my head. We're good.
So again, the Alberta government, the chief medical officer of health, deeply regretful, very sorry for the additional grief she's caused the family. Also, very sorry she got caught.
Yeah, and like it makes me curious how many other people have been put in that criteria of, you know, like, yeah, you're a COVID death because of complications for something else that could have.
Well, here's a fun one. Just looking at the Alberta numbers as an example. Comorbidities in Alberta, 83% of those that have died from COVID also suffer from hypertension.
What?
Damn, that's a lot of people with hypertension.
Yeah.
So, yeah, comorbidities is a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't trust any of these lying government apparatchiks.
No.
But don't worry. It gets better. We're going to fix it. We go to CBC. BC health officials impose additional COVID-19 restrictions in northern British Columbia to curb transmission. Limits to outdoor gatherings, indoor gatherings, alcohol services, and we're going to close nightclubs.
In northern BC, like we're talking outside of Vancouver?
Yes.
Which
How am I going to go to the
the
discotheque? with all my
population is
friends?
probably like, I don't know. What's the average town population north of Vancouver?
I don't know. It's got to be small.
3,500.
Ten-
Yeah,
like
20,000,
10,000.
10,000, 3,500. Even the
Yeah,
further
they've
north
got to
you
be
go.
small places, but they're looking at. The thing that strikes me with this is that they're doing it based on percentage of population that tested positive for COVID since September of this year. So there are places in BC that I don't really know. Fort Nelson, South Caribou, Prince George, that's one I know. Peace River, that's one I know.
The north or
Nechico,
the south?
Smithers.
Smithers
Smithers.
Ketchup
I don't
or
think it's that Smithers. I think it's a different
Ketchup?
Smithers.
or
Was
ketchup.
there a number in that one name?
Who wins?
There were no numbers, although they are
Okay.
probably on unceded lands of the something 7 people. I don't know how to say that particular tribe's name, but I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
The Smithers.
So these areas that they have listed, there's a bunch of them there. Nechico, Smithers, Kettle Valley, Upper Sika, Caribou, NB, Fort Nelson, South Caribou, Prince George, Peace River. They're greater than 1% positivity rates for COVID-19 testing. Man, somebody on YouTube is arguing with me. I'm just going by what Pravda is saying.
Who is
Peace
it?
River
Chris?
South
No,
and Peace River
yeah.
North. No,
Chris,
it's
yeah.
yep, that's me. I'm
Scott,
just reading the news. I'm not
Yeah.
reporting it. I am merely reading what Pravda is saying. Maybe there's a Peace River South in BC. Somebody should Google that, not me. But the argument
Come
is
on.
that because these places have Peace River South is a provincial electoral district of the Legislative Assembly of the Province of British Columbia. Interned. Although it is on the Alberta border, so maybe it's really close to where Peace River is, and based on how far north it is, I would say that that's very likely. But
Oh, there's also
this is all based on...
62,942 people living here.
That's more than I expected. But this is based on these places in northern BC having a greater than 1% positivity for COVID testing since September.
I'm so tired of living in clown world, man. This is
But
ridiculous.
what does it matter if they tested positive for COVID? We just established that literally does not matter. They also tested positive for things like brain cancer, and the government did not give a single fuck.
Yeah.
But don't worry, restaurants will continue to allow indoor dining if you have your BC Vax Pass. However, no booze after 10 p.m.
No, well, that's how the coronas get spread. Even if you're vaccinated, you can't drink after 10 o'clock because that's how it spreads. That's how the vaccinated get it.
Hey, all right.
Drinking
So,
after hours.
Just want to say we got to wrap this shit up. We got 5 minutes, or else we're all gonna get the vid. 9:45.
Well, no, but
Put your
the
mask
BC time,
on,
so
guys. Put your mask on.
BC time, we got 3 more hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're good.
Oh, sweet.
You got to
Yeah,
convert
that's
time
fine.
zones.
Yeah.
I forgot to carry over the one. My bad.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something like that. They're also complaining again. So I guess if I spell this out because I didn't understand the difference. Peace River South and Peace River North both have approximately 55% of their eligible populations being vaccinated. But they have a reasonably high incident of cases. They're both a little over 1,000 cases per 100,000 residents, which is interesting because a place like, I don't know, let's say Prince George, they have roughly the same incident of cases per 100,000 people, 185 out of residents. They have a 75% compliance rate with getting your vaccine. It's almost like if you pick the statistics you want, you can make them do damn near anything.
Well, I mean, 75% of people know that.
The other 25 I will beat into submission.
6 out of 4 people agree.
Yeah, this is some nonsense. Good luck, BC. Enjoy your communism.
Just go to a Rage
Yeah.
concert and it'll show you what's really happening, guys. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
You mean that capitalism is alive and well inside of socialist rock bands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine donkeys at a fucking Rage Against the Machine concert with their mask on, screaming, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." Being double vaccinated in the concert to get in.
And not drinking after 10 o'clock.
I don't like this timeline.
Oh, I know. It's so
but is it
bad.
only 10 o'clock BC time, or is it also like our time? I need to know, because like
10
then we're
o'clock
good till
BC
like
time.
For now,
we're
it's
good
only
till like
10
1
o'clock.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's only 10 o'clock BC time now. I'm sure that'll change. Like everything else, the goalposts keep moving.
Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned that.
Uh-oh.
Global news. Canada could be heading to a flu season amid the fourth wave of COVID-19. This is according to Dr. Theresa Tam, who is our chief medical officer for the country.
Oh, the chief.
Remember last year when we didn't have the flu? Like, do you guys remember last year there was no flu numbers?
It was COVID
no flu
only,
numbers.
and that was it.
Yeah.
But I keep hearing
I believe that the government may have caught on to the fact that they did not manipulate the statistics effectively last year.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. They're just going to delete that.
Well, I'm sure it will eventually get memory hold, but I do enjoy that last year. So this is according to the Public Health Agency. Last year, the flu was virtually non-existent thanks to strict public health measures against COVID-19.
Yeah, we washed our hands.
So
we eradicated.
Why are we now going to see a spike in flu season when we have more strict regulations now than we did last year? How does someone please explain the quote unquote science to me? I don't understand the science trademark.
Goddamn anti-vaxxers. They're running around spreading their germs.
I really need to get one of those horns that I can
Ontario,
just
the 19% of the Ontario population that is eligible and has not received their vaccine, those anti-vaxxers?
Yes, Andrew. They're fucking dangerous. And I met one the other day, and he was out there, and he was talking with hard H's and P's. He was like, "Hi, how are you doing? It's a public park." And I was like, "Hey, buddy, 6 feet." And
yeah, I mean, 6 feet.
He wasn't feeling it. And I was like, "Clearly you're a fucking anti-vaxxer." And he was like,
strong possibility.
Possibly.
But like, yeah, that's the thing. Like last year we eradicated the flu. Like I don't remember hearing any ads or anything last year.
No, there was no flu last year. The numbers.
No, but not even the numbers for the flu. I just mean like, this time of year, like how many times have you heard the ad about like, whether through your doctor's pharmacy or whatever, like come in and get your flu shot. I don't remember hearing any of those ads or that even being.
I don't know why they don't just like mix it all in. Mix it all into one shot that they just give you all at once. Save some time.
Oh,
Here's your COVID shot, your flu shot, your hepatitis, your everything. Just
Global News has a new COVID tracker, or at least a COVID tracker that I hadn't noticed before. We are now at 88.5% of Canadians over the age of 12 that have received at least one dose of a COVID vaccine.
Yeah,
we are reaching 90% compliance.
Fuck yeah, boys, we're on our path.
Well, okay, but does it break it down by province? Or is it
I mean,
national?
I didn't. Maybe I literally just noticed on Global that they have like a live tracker that you can fiddle around with, and I have not yet. You can do the breakdown by province. Oh, so that's just cases. I don't know if you can break down vaccinations by.
Can we do it like by provincial area so I can feel safer knowing how many of my neighbors are vaccinated?
Oh, I looked up the number in Ontario the other day. We were up to 82% of Ontario people that were vaccinated against the dangerous COVID.
Well,
especially in such a dense population that I live in.
Let's clarify things.
Dangerous.
That are currently considered vaccinated, because we know that that's going to change when you now require a third dose.
Everybody's going to need their booster shots.
Oh, hey, can I ask you guys a question? Have you guys heard about this pill farm treatment.
Yes.
That's apparently being approved by the FDA. And if
Yeah,
so,
the blue
if it
pill has
was
been
approved-
around from Pfizer for quite a while, Brian.
Yeah, you
That's what they
probably
made their
aren't old
name
enough to have to
on.
worry
For a
about
long
that.
time. But if that was approved, would that nullify the vaccine mandate, or like how does that work?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how any of this works because this
But
is
like,
this.
if you can take a pill that was like, oh my god, I think I'm getting COVID. Go get me the fucking pill so I don't have to go to the ICU and, overstress the medical system. Wouldn't that just get us out of this shit that we're in right now?
Wouldn't 90% of the population having received their vaccine, I'm rounding, wouldn't 90% of the population having received their vaccine get us out of this shit? You remember when they said in Ontario, Ford was like, stage 3 will be over when 70% of Ontario, my friends, when we reach 70% of the population being vaccinated, stage 3 will come to an end. Do you remember that? Because I remember that. Because that fat fuck told us.
Your impression was good, but you didn't have any cheesecake on your beard.
Well, I'll fucking work on that. You got to get one of those real egg Sammies from Timmy's.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's already a pill that you can take. It's ivermectin, and you need to make sure that you eat some elk and have some DMT along with it, and drink all the water, and you're fine.
I can taste colors.
There's all kinds of things that you can do that we're not doing, and even if you look at the vaccine mandates, they don't make any sense. So federally,
none of it makes
Johnson
any sense.
and Johnson.
The whole point is that it doesn't make any sense.
But like federally, Johnson and Johnson is accepted as a vaccine for the country. So if you're an American and you manage to get the Johnson and Johnson and you come to Canada for business or pleasure now, you're considered fully vaccinated. In the province of Ontario,
Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah,
I don't know if I trust that one.
Except
6 feet, sir. 6 feet.
Except in Ontario, that doesn't matter because the Ontario law says that you need to have 2 doses. Doesn't matter which.
Thank you, Ontario.
You need to have
I feel
2.
much safer.
So again, none of this makes any sense. So different areas have different rules and regulations. Exactly. They make it so
it's not
confusing.
It's not
and convoluted.
supposed to make any sense. If it made sense and it was consistent and logically applied, people wouldn't be tuned into the news all the time.
You're vaccinated. You're cured
Bingo.
forever. You're cured forever. Here's your vaccination. You never have to worry about it ever again. And as a matter of fact, once you're vaccinated, if you ever say the word COVID ever again, your head's gonna blow up. Have a good day.
Yeah.
I would fucking take the vaccine tomorrow.
Worst timeline ever.
Well, I do want to make one sort of little addendum here. Mr. Dragonbeard on YouTube says, "Be strong, brothers. This is the worst generation." To which I would add the correction: "This is the worst generation so far."
Yeah.
Yet.
It's the worst generation because you're living it.
There's always room for it to be worse. I'm not asking for anything to prove or give me examples. I'm just saying, it's the worst generation yet. It could still get worse.
Although I don't know how much worse.
Well, don't fucking push it.
Yeah.
Don't give them ideas.
It's bad enough as it is.
But when these vaccine mandates, right, when Dougie said that if 70% of people in Ontario got vaccinated, now did that include 12 or between the ages? Because I know the vaccine.
I think we were talking about adults then, but it was so long ago. I don't remember in the springtime.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Do you remember when we had the color-coded system?
Yeah,
I remember we had
vaccine passport either in Ontario.
We had a color-coded system. I don't really remember. We had a 3-stage opening system that I know was BS. We weren't going to get vaccine passports.
Even
now
if
we aren't
even if we're not considering, kids 12 to whatever age, which is probably 18, that they wanted to say adults being vaccinated. In Ontario, we're at 83.43%.
Not enough.
That's fully vaccinated, right? And then it's 87.78 for at least the
it's
one.
Not enough.
We just have to vaccinate harder.
Yeah, they now have people calling those that are not vaccinated to encourage them to be vaccinated.
And also make sure you get your flu shot this year because apparently the flu is coming back.
Yes,
I guess all the
Probably with a vengeance.
mask wearing and hand washing is no longer effective?
No.
No.
Only against the Rona, not against.
Well, but can I go to concerts and not wear a mask?
No.
Can I go to
That all
restaurants
depends.
and
You
not
have
wear
your
a
double
mask?
jab.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. Like, so
You
if,
have
if
your
I get
double
my
jab.
if I get my two vaccines, can I go to like a sporting event and not wear a mask?
No.
Can I go? Can I go to a restaurant and have a normal capacity restaurant?
No.
Can I sit in the restaurant and like? Can I go to my table or go to the washroom without wearing my mask?
No. Are you trying to kill everybody?
Do I need to stop using the community hand sanitizers that everyone else has touched when I go into places to obtain products and services?
No.
You shouldn't touch that thing to begin with.
So what are we doing now that we weren't doing last year when we didn't have the fucking flu?
We're not faking the numbers as hard as.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just now people think that the flu is eradicated.
We had to pump those numbers up. Those were rookie numbers for the
Well,
Coronas last year.
that's kind of what I was thinking, was that this is kind of... I think that they might have noticed that certain people figured out last year that the flu basically went away.
Yeah. And now, right, like now, whatever companies can't get paid for making a flu shot.
That's probably what it is that somebody
someone's just like, fuck, I'm going to lose a fuckload of money. Like, you need to bring the flu back so I can send all these things in. Which is probably
my Corona money and my flu money.
It's like the flu virus. The flu virus guy was making all the money, and then Corona came around, and it was like the guy's bro, and then Corona's like making all the money. He's like, bro, what the fuck, man? You're taking all my money. He's like, don't worry, I'll start sprinkling in little flu shots for you.
But only next year. Not right off the get-go. That's too much competition. Let me take the reins for a little bit. Next year, I'll throw you a bone, buddy. Next year, I'll throw you a bone.
You gotta get your COVID boosters.
You gotta shot guy. Next guy's COVID shot guy.
That's right. You gotta get
the money.
Gotta get those big pharma bucks. Let's do some gun news, though.
Yes.
Happier topics.
Gun stuff. Sorry, Andrew.
So
I don't know if this will make you happy, but
well, this is an interesting. I'm going to call it precedent.
Yeah.
Yes. Although that is maybe not the technically accurate word to use in this case.
Stuff.
Very interesting article on Prince Albert Now, PAnow.com.
Oh, come on.
Saskatchewan RCMP officer receives absolute discharge after failing to renew license of personal gun. There is a much better write-up on Caliber Mag, wherein there's an embedded YouTube video of Mr. Ian Runkle explaining how this actually works in reasonably easy to understand terms. As much as I have picked on Ian in the past, he does do a good job of explaining law to those of us that are not lawyers.
So
first of all,
an RCMP officer, an active RCMP officer, had a gun.
And that gun had a license. And he forgot to renew it. I didn't know you could. I didn't know. No, the way the article is written, because I'm picking on Prince Albert Now for their poor journalism. He failed to renew the license of his personal gun.
So he forgot to renew his PAL.
He forgot to renew his RPAL, and he was no longer legally in possession of a .22 caliber pistol that he had owned for many years.
So, but he's still an active police officer?
Yes.
Yes.
He's a sergeant with the RCMP who is 60 years old and should fucking know better.
Fuck, this shouldn't even be a story.
I mean, the nice thing is he could just arrest himself.
But he's like,
so he didn't even arrest himself. The continuous eligibility screening through the Canadian Firearms Program found this out. It was reported that he was in possession of this now not allowable firearm. He pled guilty. He paid his $500 fine, and he has received an absolute discharge of the events.
Well, I mean,
I want this. I want this
email in the morning.
I want this applied to absolutely every single firearms owner in the country that has ever committed a paper crime. You pay a $500 penalty, and your paper crime goes away in a year.
So you're telling me if that happened to you and I, they'd fucking put us.
No. If I failed to renew my firearms license and I was illegally in possession of the dozen AR-15s that are in my basement, the local emergency response team would kick down my door, shoot my dog, rape my wife, and take all my guns.
But
maybe
because
not
you're
all
not a
in
police
that
officer,
order, but yes.
you got to be
You're
a
right. It's
cop.
entirely possible that they might shoot my wife and rape my dog. It's very confusing for them, I understand.
Well, I don't know. I think bestiality is only oral, so it'd just be weird watching your dog do that.
Giving or receiving that counts.
Yes.
So, I mean, go watch Ian Runkle's YouTube video. He does a really good job of explaining how out-of-state discharges
The
work.
only argument I would make is like if he's like still keeping his firearms training up and stuff, then obviously he still knows how to handle a firearm. But
this has nothing to do with his.
He is breaking the law.
Yeah, but this has nothing to do with him qualifying for his duty pistol.
Yeah, so
this is his personal pistol.
Well,
that he
and that's
keeps.
and I have
I
no
can see
problem
how
if people...
a cop can forget how to do that, though. They're like,
No. If you're an agent of the state in some capacity, and I don't care what that... If you work for the government in an official capacity, if you're a member of parliament, an MPP, if you're the local town dog catcher, you are receiving taxpayer money in order to do your job. You need to be held to a higher standard of care than the average person.
Agreed.
So I don't disagree with Brian though. At the same time, that yes, it can happen. That like
this is the problem. So
next year, right? I don't disagree that it can happen to anybody.
Here's the solution to the problem is that if you're
all gun laws are infringement.
Yes. But slightly more convoluted because Canada. If you're a cop or in the military and you are allowed to carry a firearm for your job.
And have you met people that are cops and military? Do you want those guys to have guns?
I mean, no, but that's not my... I don't have a say in that, unfortunately.
I know, I'm derailing. I'm sorry. I'm not really.
They should just give them a PAL. Problem solved. And then their PAL just auto-renews as long as they are currently in the employ of whatever agency they're in.
Yeah, for sure.
And
then it stops being a problem.
All the time. You should have automatic.
Like you're in the military, you do your 10-year service, and you decide, hey, I'm done. I wash my hands. Okay, no problem. Here's your piece of paper. You got 5 years.
But then it's up to you to keep renewing it.
Yes, at that point, yeah. Because I don't understand how someone can not go through the same checks we do and the same course and carry a gun for fucking living day in and day out.
It's on you to renew all of your licenses. You have to remember to renew your health card. You have to remember to renew your driver's license. You have to remember to renew your firearms license.
And they all conveniently coincide with your birthday.
Right? Like, this is not rocket appliances.
Yeah. And if you're smart,
I gotta check this shit out.
You get them all to coincide on the same birthday. The only thing that doesn't is your passport, because that's on when you get it issued. But your health card, your driver's license, your PAL are all on your birthday. So if you're smart, you can get them all to line up. So that on like one birthday every 5 years, you just renew it all.
Renew them all.
That sounds like a shitty birthday.
It's an expensive one, but at least it's done once, and then that's it. And then you don't have to worry for 5 years.
You don't have to keep checking and worrying.
I'm fine. If you go and become a cop and you pass all the things and you're a cop, they're like, here's your duty piece. Oh, and here's your RPAL as well. I'm fine with
that. Well, and here's your government mandated 2 days of classroom safety training.
Yeah, but they have to do that as well. But if they don't want to call it the same thing as we have to take or whatever, or bypass it because it's already included, fine with that. Same with the military. But
that's the only point I was trying to make was that they're like qualified to have the guns.
I do think it's a little ridiculous that the guy is allowed to have a gun for work, but he can't go and buy his own gun.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I just
But then it's even more ridiculous that the guy is not allowed to own his own personal gun, but to take his work gun home with him and keep it in the home.
I understand where Andrew's coming from. Is that like what he said, that if he forgot to renew his PAL, then he would be totally fucked over.
Yeah,
and I agree with you.
The law is the law, and if anyone's to be held to a higher standard, it's those that make the laws and enforce the law.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? If you're an agent of the state, then you are due a higher standard of care to the society that you're supposed to be in service of. Because if I screwed this up, I wouldn't be paying a $500 fine. I would be getting a visit from the local constabulary.
Well, that's what makes us sharper, though.
Yes, but I want the people that are enforcing the laws to be better than me. I am
Do
I
you though,
don't think-
Andrew? Do you for reasons?
Well, no, but like I am not a particularly
Come on.
great person. I would like the people enforcing the laws to be of higher moral character.
Andrew, can I break this to you? They're humans.
And I have no
Yes.
problem with that.
They're
But
humans
I
with
want
They're
the,
a different quality of human. We all know this.
but I
Yes.
want the
No,
rules
they're still
applied.
humans. There's no different qualities.
Sure, there is.
I just
There are
want the
better
rules
people
applied
and worse
equally.
people.
There's humans.
No,
Yeah, no, I see both points. I see what Andrew and
No.
Gavin are saying, and I get what Brian's saying. Like, yes, they are humans, right? Mistakes
yes, and
happen.
people
And
make
I mean, at
mistakes.
60 years old, maybe this is the first signs of going fucking senile, for all we know, right? Like, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm.
If the guy shows up to work wearing flip flops, then you know you're in trouble.
But the thing that pisses me off the most, like, this is something so simple that can be overlooked by anybody on the panels or anybody who has a firearms license. That could be so easily overlooked by thinking it was next year or not this year or whatever.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and something simple that you can't even forget about. And he had to pay a $500 fine. And as I mentioned before, like, what's the charge for an ethics violation that like is something
200.
yeah, right. Like,
This
so
is
you
the
could do something that is morally wrong, and fine, you can call it not being right or wrong for an ethics violation in the government.
Well,
and
no,
you end up
in the
paying
terms of
less.
ethics, it is literally right or wrong. That is how ethics works.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right, whether
It's
you
not
want to
right
be
or
right,
way.
legally wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay
Right,
to go
exactly.
on vacation at the Aga Khan's Island as long as you're not the
Yes.
prime minister.
Yes, right. So that's true. Yeah, it is right or wrong at this point. And you end up paying less than looking at your firearms license real quick and realizing that
And
two
like
was supposed
it's
to be a
great
3.
that this firearms owner, who is also a police officer, paid a $500 fine and like gets to keep his guns and
And I don't know
doesn't
the
suffer-
whole backstory, how much all of this went, but the guy was just like, yeah, no, that was kind of my fault. I plead
yeah,
guilty.
hey, my
I don't-
bad. I screwed up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
here's the gun. I'm turning it in, but like there's
Yeah.
no professional consequences aside from the $500 and the time in court. There's no personal consequences.
But you now have an officer that's guilty of a federal offense. Why are there no
Yes, and
professional
this
consequences?
is this is my problem. Is like it's a higher duty, a higher standard of care needs to be applied to people in positions of authority in the government. So follow the laws the same as that I have to follow the laws, and maybe do a better job of following the laws if you're going to be in charge of enforcing them.
We have way worse laws. How many times have we heard of cops leaving a pistol anywhere and everywhere? Like, say
Oh, you mean the
all three of you
RCMP?
guys live close. Yeah, that RCMP. I know.
I mean, they've lost a couple firearms over the years.
What are
A
you
couple.
talking about?
Can-
Never heard of it.
So let's say you guys go for a pistol shoot one day, and you guys finish. It's getting fall weather. You guys finish 5 o'clock, and it's starting to get dark, and you guys want to go to the bar, have some chicken wings and beer.
No,
Can
you
you
go
guys
home right away. Go home.
Ah,
Go,
I
go
got
home
that,
via
I
a
got that.
reasonably
Go
direct route.
home
Follow your
right
ATT.
away, Pierre.
Yeah.
So you can't like just go to the bar, right?
No.
I don't have my
Well,
restricted, so I can play.
Go
Snoop.
home.
I'm not a
right
lawyer.
away.
I
I
can't.
know.
Go home right away. Go
Yeah.
home right
I'm just
away.
saying, do what the ATT says to do.
Right? So
Yeah,
like you
go
wouldn't
home in
be
the
able
most
to be
reasonably
like
direct manner.
Go home.
so you
right
wouldn't be
away,
able to do the
guys.
same as some police officers that would go like out of jurisdiction, I guess you could say, or like say an hour drives out of the way, get completely fucking
Right.
smashed,
No.
leave their car there, but also forget their pistol, whether it be in the car or in the bar.
Just
Like,
whatever
what
you
would
do,
happen if one of you guys
do not attempt a
you out of your
backflip when you
mind?
have your duty piece tucked down the back of your pants and you're at a
don't
bar.
do a backflip. Don't do a backflip.
Did you guys see the backflip video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that was in
Right, but, like,
America,
what
and it
would
was
happen?
embarrassing.
Right? Let's say you guys decided,
Oh,
that guy
fuck
out
it,
of
I'm
the
gonna
eye?
fuck
if you left, if you legally owned a pistol and like somehow accidentally left it in a bar, I'm pretty sure you just go to jail.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're not paying a $500 fine. I'm pretty sure you're getting
You're going
arrested.
let's not even
Rightly
let's not even
so.
say right, let's not even say you brought it into the bar. Just, you know what? The bar is 5 minutes away from the range, or
No.
10 minutes away.
No.
But your house is I know, I'm just saying. Let's say your house is an hour away.
No.
So you gotta drive home to drop off your pistol, AR, whatever restricted weapon you have.
The ARs are
And
prohibited.
then, I know, and then you can go back
In the
to the
before
bar.
time.
And you say, fuck it.
What if your pistol doesn't? What if your pistol doesn't have its vaccine paperwork though?
Oh my God. Okay, so wait, hold on. Time out.
Yeah, you
So
can't bring it into the
pistol
restaurant
has
if it
no
doesn't have it.
vaccine passport, and you went to the bar after okay, Jesus Christ. Carry on,
So
Pierre.
you
People
have
are literally
so-
dying.
this is all before 10, right? This is all before 10.
In northern
Right?
BC.
Yeah, right? But say, you do your due diligence. You lock your vehicle,
No.
right? You've got your pistol in a locked cabinet with the trigger lock. Your ammo is completely separate, right? And someone decides to steal your vehicle, right?
You're fucked.
I know this is all
You're done.
knows everything. Every
So
scenario.
I,
I'm saying
I will
out of
tell
this.
you an anecdote
done.
of someone. I will tell you an anecdote of someone that I know that had a restricted firearm stolen from their vehicle while they were at a place between their home and the range to which they were going.
Yeah, but they should not have been at set place.
They were taking a reasonably direct route from their home to their, and I'm again not arguing about how the ATT is written. Do what the ATT says. I am not a lawyer.
It
This
says
is
that
not
you're
legal
not
advice.
supposed to spend a certain amount of times.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It says
No,
you need to take
it
a
says-
reasonably direct route.
So you're telling me on a reasonably direct route you can stop?
Reasonable is a very not
That's
defined term, and I
They're-
think that's
They
done
even have
intentionally. Like,
provisions in the thing that allow you to stop and do things. They don't spell it out and go, these are the things you're allowed to stop for. These are the things you're not allowed to stop for.
I don't know,
All it says,
because again, the reasonable
reasonably
person argument
direct.
and reasonableness is a legal test, right? Like there is,
yeah.
and it's not a black or white test, but there is reasonableness in a legal sense is a thing, right? So
Can I
is it
say though,
reasonable
like-
to stop on the way to the range and fill up your car at the gas station?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
most
for
people would say
sure.
it's reasonable to stop and fill your car up.
100%, but like,
Is it reasonable to
in-
stop at McDonald's and get a bite to eat? Most
in
people would
certain
probably say it's
situations-
reasonable. Well, but that's the problem is
in
everybody's
certain
definition of
situations,
reasonable is
I
where
would
it's
say in certain situations that I wouldn't leave in certain situations.
Yeah, but that's the
Restricted,
Right.
restricted in that situation.
and I'm not saying that you should or that you
I
shouldn't
wouldn't
or
do
that
it though.
I
'Cause,
would.
like, that's where you can get
I'm
into
not
that.
saying you should or you should. I'm saying the way the ATT is written, it's based on reasonable requirements, not clear black and white
So-
rules.
For
Yeah, but
So
that's
example,
where you're like
anecdotally-
walking the line, though. You're like walking the line.
Yes,
there.
well, but that's my
no.
point. So anecdotally, I know someone that had a restricted firearm stolen out of their vehicle. They were charged with
Jesus.
unsafe storage of a restricted firearm. Right? So like they caught a charge even though they technically did nothing wrong. Someone broke into their locked vehicle and stole their locked restricted firearm, which was being transported in compliance with all of our laws, but they still caught the charge.
yeah. So for example, if we were going to go shoot a match in very northern Ontario, the most northern gun club we could find that is CFO approved, we automatically have an ATT that allows us to take our property from southwestern-ish Ontario all the way to very far north Ontario. We're going all the way to Thunder Bay and north. Legally, we're allowed
Thunder
to do
Bay
this.
Combat Club does have a great IDPA facility.
Yeah, all of the fishing vests. So we're allowed to do this, right? Is it reasonable for us to go from here, where we are, to there and stop for lunch along the way and probably dinner? Because that is a very long drive. I've done it.
Oh, yeah, it is. I've done it from where I live, but yeah, it's
Right?
right. So,
Now,
so
are we
that's what I'm saying.
relegated to we can only stop at McDonald's at the drive-through so that we don't leave the vehicle? Or what if
Or do you
like,
leave someone in the vehicle and everybody else eat? Or do you split it up so that two of you can go eat together and the other two can eat
are we
after?
expected to go all the way there, shoot the match, and then immediately come all the way back home? Or are we allowed to get a hotel for the night because that's safer and we shouldn't be driving after being awake for like 2 days straight? Because that's
especially not
dangerous.
past
And do
not
we
past 10
need-
o'clock.
an ATT to be in the hotel, you start getting into all of these weird little things.
Yeah, but you
whereas-
can probably like tell the CFO that you're going to be away for a while, and they'll give you an ATT for X amount of days.
but
No,
you don't need
Obviously,
one.
you would
So
bring your
again,
restricted
anecdotally,
into a hotel. You wouldn't leave them in the
anecdotally,
fucking
having
car.
been a person who's traveled on numerous occasions with firearms in Ontario, when we still had to have had ATTs for all transit. So like in 2000 and whatever that was, 12, when you had to get an ATT for everything. I had to get an ATT to go somewhere in Ontario for several days. And the CFO did not care at all. They were like, yep, it's covered by your club ATT. It's just like going to your home club. I'm like, but it's not on my list of approved things. And they're like, yeah, it does not matter.
Yeah, they're
Just
not going
go.
to issue paperwork.
I need that shit in writing because
Right, but like that was the thing. Is like they were like they were like don't care.
And today, Andrew,
more recently,
today, what would it be?
recently, I went to another province. Actually, I went to two other provinces. I went somewhere in Ontario. I went to Quebec, and then I went to New Brunswick. In 2019, we went to New Brunswick, Gavin.
Yeah, that sounds about
And
right.
I told the CFO I was going away for a month, and I was taking AR-15s and handguns with me, and they were like, "Cool, here's your paperwork. Have a nice day." And I could take them literally anywhere I wanted in Quebec and New Brunswick, no additional questions asked, because the CFO was just like, "Yeah, cool, no problem. Any hotel, any range, anywhere you want to go for a month."
Yeah, but if you were to apply for an ATT in Ontario to go to another club in Ontario where you reside, the CFO is going to be like, you don't need this.
Well, but that's the thing, and I haven't
Yeah.
had to do it in Ontario because the way the ATTs are.
Now, if you're going to one of the military bases, that's a different thing because those aren't CFO approved ranges and you will need one. But like, if we want to drive to Thunder Bay with our handguns and go shoot at the club there, we don't need paperwork to do that. And they will tell us that we don't need paperwork to do this. And they're fully going to expect that we're going to be stopping for food and gas and somewhere to stay for the night. And they can't issue you paperwork for something that you don't need paperwork for.
And that's still good with the. Today.
Now, if you were to be, say, like going to your cottage for the month and wanted to bring your gun with you so that you could shoot at the club next to your cottage, that's a different story because that's a bit more long-term and that is not reasonably direct, even though it still kind of is.
Because it becomes storage
instead of transportation. Yeah.
But again, I feel like this is very legalese and we should be getting a lawyer because we do an entertainment podcast. I've had a not inconsequential amount of beer.
But yeah,
I've had enough to be confident in my answers. Yeah, I've had enough. Ask me anything. We're good.
Well, on the topic of having one more, we've got a beer story to round out the show with.
Fuck yeah!
Good news
love
for
beer. If you guys didn't notice,
good news.
Anybody
for people
wants
in
to send
Ontario.
beer to the show, you can send it at
send an email and I will work out where you can send beer.
beer, and then
I
we'll
do
tell
like
you
beer.
how it's tastes on the show.
Yeah,
If you send enough beer, we'll say it tastes good.
Yeah.
I'm willing to have the show sponsored by a brewery.
Oh fuck
yeah. But if it's bad, I won't say that it's good. I just won't say that it's bad.
I'll say
I
that.
have some moral standards.
I'll say
some.
like this is what I
will
say.
be happy to meet
Morally
with the-
flexible.
When I say when beer isn't really good or a liquor or whatever, I'll just say, get you some drunk.
I mean, I would hope so.
You're not wrong.
Ontario to start allowing local brewers to sell their beer at farmers markets. Yay!
Sweet. Wah.
So we have beer in grocery stores, and we had buck a beer for 5.5 minutes, and now we have beer in.
So you're gonna have like all
farmers
these
markets.
craft beer dudes coming down and be like, Andrew, try my pumpkin spice beer.
Well,
You will
I think this is. I think this is going to be very interesting for me as a craft beer enthusiast, because the places that I want to get my beer from are not going to have the staff to send people out to go sit at farmers market and sell their stuff. And the places that are like big enough to do that already have event teams that go to events and do that sort of thing. So I don't think it's going to like be of benefit for me, because I'm just going to go to the breweries that I like to go to that are local to me where I know everybody, and they just like bring me my order.
But it could create a team of people though that like go and visit some of these places and potentially represent several microbreweries and go, come see our wares.
Well, I think overall this is a good thing. I mean, A, I like farmers markets. B, I like beer. C, I like having the availability of things. So being able to go to a place that's not the LCBO or the beer store.
We like getting lit in parking lots. Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not picky. I will drink in a crappy parking lot. I will drink in a dark parking lot. I will maybe puke in that parking lot.
I've been there and done that to all of those. Yeah. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to consume the alcohol where they're selling it. I don't know what the service rules are going to be like. It might be just a purchase thing, but I mean...
do they specify what the requirements are for people selling beer? Like, do you need a specialty permit to be able to go to the farmers markets? Like, I don't know how farmers markets work. I know you just go there and like it's a cash thing, not really any tax or whatever, right? But I don't know what the requirements are.
You're definitely supposed to charge and collect taxes on those things. It's
yes, that's what I said. But,
yeah,
you know,
yes,
right? Like,
well,
I'm thinking farmers market.
Whether the farmer charges it or not, he's going to have to pay it to the government. That's
not. I go there with cash, right? And then at the end of the day, I leave with less cash but more products, right? So I don't know what the requirements are to get into a farmer's market. But if a brewer wants to sell beer at a farmer's market, what are their requirements? Like, do you need
I don't know what the licensing is.
An ID?
I don't know what the licensing is for that in Ontario.
And just like I don't know what it is for farmers markets. Like, a lot of people, like, you know, if I got 4 acres of land and I decide I want to grow potatoes, onions, tomatoes, and cucumbers, like, can I get a booth at the farmer's market and just
you contact the local Rotary Club or whoever runs it and go, I would like to vend at your thing. Here's some money, and they go, okay.
Depending on how your local farmers market is run, the organization that manages that likely has some sort of vendor agreement. There'll be a contract that you sign, and you're effectively renting a space.
Yeah. It's up to you to do the legal business stuff on your end in order to ensure that you can do that. And they might check some of that if they're like a bigger, more reputable thing. Like,
depending on how they are, they might want to see some sort of vendor permit, or there might be some insurance requirements. And again, every place is going to be different, but you're probably effectively renting a space when you're exhibiting, when you're vending at a farmer's market. I think the question with this is going to be, how do you regulate the sale of alcohol at these things? Because anywhere else you need a different license for that.
Well, I imagine they'll require all of the people that are vending there to be smart serve because they're selling alcohol.
I would expect there's a smart serve requirement, and I would not be surprised if they don't have some sort of liquor license in order to sell it, the same as a store that's doing like takeout alcohol.
Yeah, but do you need a liquor license for takeout alcohol?
Yes. I think if you're a restaurant selling alcohol, you need a liquor license.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be a restaurant at this point. You'd be a kiosk.
Well, no, this is a new weird.
But
because everywhere else, you're at the brewery, you're at the beer store, you're at the LCBO, you're at the restaurant, or you're at a specially licensed grocery store.
All of those.
This is like a new
would fall kind of under that, because you're not a bar that is selling booze
Loblaws buys the special license, so the that specific Loblaws supermarket can sell booze in it.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
And
right?
It's you need a license to sell the alcohol. You don't necessarily need a license to consume alcohol on the premise if you bring it yourself. There's
it's entirely possible, like,
if it's a restaurant and everything else.
Beer gardens at your local farmer's market could be a thing, which could make Sunday morning shopping way more exciting for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When I went to IKEA the other day and we were hungry, so we just went to get something to eat, and I could have a beer in IKEA, I was like, I'm doing this just out of principle, if nothing else, because...
Simply for the fact that I can.
Yes.
I'm going to IKEA tomorrow. We're gonna have a dinner date. We're gonna have a dinner date. I can't fucking go anywhere else.
IKEA meatballs. You're gonna have some IKEA meatballs, bro. Swedish.
Yes.
Let's remind everybody about book club. Book club is coming up.
Yeah.
The October book, Inside Delta Force, Command Master Sergeant Haney's book. And November, we're doing a handbook for right-wing youth. So go ahead and send me your hate mail now about how that one's a hard read, because I'm not having a good time.
Oh,
I
come on.
just finished Inside Delta Force, and I was gonna start the other book last night, but I decided to
I'm
do.
trying to make notes, and I don't
other
know
stuff.
if it's the level that it's written at or that the translation from Italian to English. I'm having a
The
rough...
nice thing is that it's essays, right? So you can stop when you reach one, and you don't have to keep going on.
I have read the first essay 11 times. This will be
It's-
funny
it's-
when we do the episode in 2 months.
It is very dense.
So from the sounds of this, I may not be on that episode's book club.
It's a good
I'm not a
thing
good
it's not a
reader.
very thick book.
Yeah.
No, I'll give it that. It
There-
seems like a
there's-
very thin book.
Some of the stuff is sort of high level. Some of it
Does
not.
it have big words?
Yeah.
Yes, but not for the sake of having big words. I do think it is well written. We'll talk about it a whole bunch more. So that's coming up in November. We're going to do the handbook for right-wing youth. Both of those Amazon links are in the show notes. If you use our Amazon link and buy anything on Amazon, we get a cut of the Jeff Bezos penis rocket money. So we can build me a penis rocket instead of building Jeff one.
You can make it just a millimeter shorter for him.
Yeah.
Fine, it'll be a little rocket.
My attendance next week might be a little iffy because I will be potentially traveling for work. So I'm gonna just say one thing. I really, really, really like the book. It is a great book. But like a lot of the books lately, there seems to be some catchphrases in them that kind of just get a little annoying. This one had one of those. Have a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
If I was there doing selection and I'm walking 50 miles in a day and some jackass says that to me, he'd be missing some teeth. That's all I gotta say.
If you want to pick a fight with Delta Force, that's your business.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't
I mean-
Delta Force yet. They were just the guys that were judging you for selection.
Which
But yeah.
means they were there. So if you decide to do that, please let like 2 people know. We want to get some good camera angles for when you get your ears fucking kicked.
But yeah, really good book. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
next week we're going to do Inside Delta Force. It'll be a good time. And then November, handbook for right-wing youth. We are on Discord. If you want to come and hang out with everybody there, the Discord is pretty active. There's a link to that in the show notes. There's also, if you go to our Discord, there's a link to get to the Prepper Podcast Discord. The Imitation CPP has their own Discord going. There is a strong overlap between those two communities. So feel like jumping in and saying hi to everybody on both servers. That would be super cool. They are both fairly active. Go around. Let's go anti-clockwise, which I think is about the same order as we did before, but backwards. We'll start with Gavin. Where can everybody find you when you're not traveling for business?
Well, the best place to find me is on the Instagram, UrbexGTA, or if you happen to be in Saskatoon next Monday or Edmonton on the Tuesday, that's where I'll be.
Gross.
Yeah.
Here, where can everybody find you?
Off the wall customizing on a bunch of social media stuff, or off the wall customizing at gmail.com. You'll probably most likely be talking to my wife, but she's cool shit. So what she says stands. We're good.
I like it. Brian, where can everybody find the show?
We can find us at www.canadianpatriotpodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@canadianpatriotpodcast.com and let us know what you think. And I'd also like to give a shout out to my boy Pierre for this dope sweater at Off the Wall Customs. You got to go check them out because they're making great stuff. I want to give a shout out to my boy Andrew for giving me a recommendation at Guelph Rod and Gun Club. Thank you very much. Shout out to John and Adam. I said it wrong last time, but it is definitely Adam. You guys ran an awesome safety course. Looking forward to being a member with you guys. Thank you for having me on the show, guys. Love you guys.
Oh. Do we hug?
Thank you,
now,
good sir.
or-
Yeah, hug it out,
Yes.
beer drinking.
Hey, hold on.
Virtually.
Before we hug,
Staying 6 feet
do I
away.
have to have pants on?
Yeah.
I don't have any. I haven't worn pants the whole show, guys. What the fuck?
Well, that explains a few things.
Yes, it was our pleasure, me and my wife, to make those
Yes.
for everybody
Thank you.
there. And yes,
Check them out. Off the Wall Customs. You guys are amazing.
thank you. We're new, so we're very eager to make everybody happy. So now's the time to get in, to get your own shit in. A few years from now, we may be a little crustier. We'll be, you never know. Now's the time. Send an email.
Strike while there are no pants, or something like that.
Exactly.
I don't know. Sun Tzu,
Yes.
look it up. It's
Yes.
called literature. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. We couldn't fit Rod into the show. I did email him about the listener feedback. He didn't want to get on the show tonight. I will try. Next week is book club. If Rod finishes the book, we'll try to get him on in time to talk about his thoughts on Delta Force and all of his experience as a professional operator. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are... Oh, I forgot about me. Go to RagnarokTactical.ca. Buy some tactical stuff.
Ragnarok, baby.
That's right. You can't get the hat that Brian is modeling. You can't get the sweater that Brian is modeling, but
You can.
you can
get
probably
the
buy
sweater.
some bandages.
No,
Ask,
you can't
Off
get
the
the
Wall
sweater.
Customs. You might actually be able
No.
to make you these hats and these sweaters.
No,
Check 'em out.
I will not. You need to convince Andrew to ask me. This is all Andrew's stuff.
Well,
But if you want
if
something
people
other
really
than someone
want
is
sweaters,
affiliated to it.
if people really want Ragnarok sweaters, we can work it out. We got a bunch of Ragnarok t-shirts. We got podcast t-shirts, which shipped some more this week. So, we're going through them, which is good. I'm glad to hear
There
that.
you go.
If you are shopping at Ragnarok Tactical, use the discount code Patriot at checkout. Save yourself some money. Get your $10 flat rate shipping. Shirts we can do for $5 because it goes as a cheaper option, but it's not tracked. And for all of our listeners out there in podcast, for real this time, you're the true north, strong and free.